Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Overwatch Atlantic Showdown. We're into the final knockout match, and then we're into the big old finals. Mitch Leslie is joining me for this one at Ubershouts. I'm Lee DMN Smith, of course. And you may have just noticed in the titles there a little bit of a different name. SG-1 just got picked up by Ninjas in Pajamas. NIP make an appearance in the Overwatch scene.
You would have thought they'd give us some notice, so our production team doesn't have to freak out and update logos and everything like that. But it's not really the way it happens in esports so far. So yeah, of course
Well, we had that with Luminosity, didn't we? It's like, bam! There we go.
Yeah, it's a thing, but that's fine. Of course, the well-known Scandinavian order has dipped their toe into the pool of Overwatch, and they picked up a very strong Finnish lineup as well. Lee, we'll get to talk about them a little bit later on before we dive into this match, though.
Yeah, they're up against Melty, of course, and Melty put up a pretty decent performance yesterday. Obviously, you cast that game yourself. It was against Reunited, if I remember right. Or was it Rogue? No, it was Reunited. I was right the first time.
Yeah.
I should never question myself. Always get it right. Kings Row was the map they managed to take off. Reunited. Reunited themselves already qualified, so they went through and they managed to win out against Creation yesterday. Solid performance from them. How did we gauge Melty? Somewhat surprising, I think. They managed to hold Reunited to distance on Dorado, but they couldn't get the first point themselves. And Dorado, I bring it up because it is the first map today.
I don't know. Hollywood and Dorado were not good for Melty at all. I think they've still shown that they are a big step behind their old rivals here. Yeah, when Kings Row came around, they performed a bit better. Ilios, they were nowhere to be seen. Yeah. Not even close. So Melty have a bit of work to do. I think that's a nice way of putting it here as well. I think they've got potential. I think they've got the ability. I think there's so many games where you look at them and you see the skill gap is non-existent, but you can just see how much Reunited had them pegged when it came to the strategic side of play. Just very much natural, instinctive play that Melty couldn't keep up with.
Well, let's check out the lineup for Melty, of course. You may have seen them yesterday. Munel in there with Flippy, Nico, Tech, and Digun and Bode. This is a lineup that's had a couple of transitions, certainly from the beta phase. Melty, if you didn't know, they've been around since the very beginning of Overwatch. They were the kings of it for one time.
Yeah, I mean, Melty's changed a lot since then as well in terms of lineup. Of course, Cabal recently left, so working, Tech now into the lineup as well. There's a bit of an off-tank, and well, he's not really a flex player, but he can. I mean, when Melty needed Tracer, we actually saw Tech pick that one up there as well. What you often see him playing Roadhog or D.Va, so secondary tank, playing whatever's sort of required here as well. And with Digun now moving to the Zenyatta role, which I think suits him quite nicely, it does give a little bit of a different element to Melty. I think that the way that the team plays through, and especially with Borde being able to just sort of flex between any role really he wants to, and then you've got Nico and Flippy as your damage dealers. It's a very deadly lineup. They're lacking the results, and I think they're lacking the cohesion they really need. They're not the Giants they once were, Lee, but this is their chance to climb that ladder again.
And moving on, of course, their opponents is formerly SG-1. They are now known as Ninjas in Pajamas, and of course, look at that. Our crew is up to date. Timo doing some serious work as the production team. They're managing to get the update on the roster straight away. Himsy, of course, in there with Mafu, Seda, Fraggy, Zappis, and is it Kynal? Kynal. It is Kynal we're going to go with on it for NIP.
Yeah, so this team actually formed originally back in the first Overwatch beta in December, and Seta and Fraggy joined this team from Paragon in World of Warcraft. They're actually high-ranking officers in the best guild in Europe in World of Warcraft, right? So they came into the team, and it's so funny because they...
I'm a little worried for them when Legion comes out on 30th of August.
Right, exactly. And it's funny because Hox left the team in June as well. That's when Laze came in, and then Laze left, and Kynal came back. Kynal actually left the team way back at the start of the year as well. So they're sort of just cycling through these Finnish players again and again, but now they've got a permutation that works for them. And these guys have progressed almost the opposite way to how Melty has. A good example is that SG-1 or now NIP lost to Melty 0-3 at the takeover, right? The first land in Europe, and recently, of course, in qualifier number 1 for this regional final, they beat Melty 3-0. So we can see a definite transition, a definite increase in ability from these guys, where Melty's sort of going the other direction or still sort of struggling to really get there. So I mean, the portents, the signs, the tea leaves, if you want to read those, are pretty good right now for NIP, I'd say.
I would say, because obviously I did manage to get to speak to Slash yesterday. SG-1, or now NIP, they managed to play. They played We United in the first round of the upper bracket, and it went the distance. It went all the way 3-2 in the end for NIP, but they did lose Dorado to We United. So both teams posting a loss here on Dorado. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they match up against one another. However, they did get a win on Hanamura which is very interesting. Tell a lie. No, I'm wrong. It's the other way around. I'm writing it from Slash's point of view. So they lost Hanamura. Reunited went out. They won Dorado.
Yeah.
Well, that ruined my story, didn't it?
But, I mean, both these two teams, though, on the back of that, haven't had an easy run to get here. It was 3-2, SG1 beat Reunited, and then they lost 1-3 to Creation. For Melty, they did 3-0 Pretz, but then almost got pinned by Bringos as well. That was a 3-2 game.
Yeah.
So, in the lower bracket for these two teams, it hasn't exactly been like a smooth ride thus far. They've had some tough games, and it only gets harder from here, of course, as the winner takes on Rogue.
In the final.
To qualify for Gamescom, which is a thing, apparently, and it's definitely not a position you want to be in. So, these two teams obviously still need to focus on this best-of-5 first, but there are still more challenges left to go if they want to make it to the big money stage in August.
Yeah, so obviously we are playing a lot earlier than usual today. Thank you very much for joining us. If you are, if you're not, well, you're not listening to me. You're watching me on a VOD or a loop or a rerun. I don't even know where you're watching me. Where did you find me? I don't know. But if you are watching, guys,
you don't want to know,
do be sure to tell your friends about it. Get them here following the channel, because obviously this is the big game. So we have 3 best-of-5s left, and Europe will be done up until Gamescom. We will have our 4 teams to join them, of course. Reunited and Misfits got there yesterday. Who is going to join them? Let's drop into Dorado because we are about ready to go, and these guys are hot and ready and waiting to go. Melty on the defense. And already I'm seeing a very different team setup here from what we usually do.
No,
Tech
it's very
coming out on the Junkrat, Flippy on McCree, Moon on the Reinhardt, but look at this, Deegan on Hanzo, Nico, Symmetra is back, and Boyd is going to be on Lucio. I haven't seen a Symmetra in so long.
Well, yesterday from Melty.
Well, yeah, but I didn't cast that game. Yeah.
Every time they played defense on these sort of maps, they did bring it in. It's just something Melty do. And it's just so funny that Nico plays it as well, because he's supposed to be one of the most dangerous players on this team in terms of playing an offense role, but Flippy, of course, can hold that end of the bargain up as well. Tech as well is a bit of a flex off-tank player now. Can play Junkrat.
Deegan switched. They had the Hanzo in there. They've switched back to Zenyatta.
No, it could have been a Sonic Arrow, just to get information. Shoot it at this spawn and see he's behind.
That's a good point.
I don't know, because you can still change it through NIP here. But here we go. NIP, the newly crowned team, is going to be attacking here on Dorado. It's map 1 in a best-of-5.
A little too early with a fire strike. He hit the doors, didn't manage to catch them as he was hoping here, but you can see Maffa coming out on the Xayah, trying to work that shield up already. Himsy's going to flank around the side. He's got the Genji on the way, Seda on the Lucio, so see whether they decide to charge out. I'm always intrigued to see which way a team's going to attack here. Kindle's going to be on the Zenyatta, Zappis trying to land the shots with the McCree there, and Fraggy on the Reinhardt.
Didn't take long for Maffa to charge up full there as well on that his cannon, so you can see him putting a lot of damage down on towards the shield of Fraggy. Or Moonel, should I say now, as Fraggy's the one standing in front of him here. So NIP get the payload to the fairly standard location, and now they have to decide if they're going to go out to the left. They will. They do need to beware, of course, of Tech here. It can be quite dangerous, but he's still now just learning where NIP are. He is spamming in the right direction, though, as well, and you can see he's doing a lot of damage at the same time. He's had the Riptide for a while.
Just launched Fraggy backwards there, I think, with that explosive. Riptide's going to come out, so very early Riptide, and he's going to try and hop it over. He's going to catch him perfectly. Didn't get anyone down there because the Transcendence came out. Didn't manage to quite get enough damage down. Himsy does pick out Moonel, and that's the big Reinhardt down. And now the rest of the team will just pile on through as that shield is no longer present, and Melty will fall. First payload marker hit very quickly here at 1:15.
And Nico dies with teleport. Again, doesn't work. So he's going to immediately switch to Genji here, and this is my only misgiving about the Symmetra composition lead. If you don't hold that first point, then it's just no use to you, really. You do some damage in combat, but you're much better having a Genji if you're not even trying to play for the teleporter. We saw Melty, though, make it work, though, previously. I think it was on, not on Hollywood, maybe Dorado, actually, yesterday they made it work for them. But here, NIP were just too aggressive coming forward, and Nico got smashed.
At the moment, they're going to try and hold that high ground, see whether they're going to drop down. Flippy is the one with the Deadeye, so he's going to get himself his positional advantage here. But Himsy, keep your eye on him. He's going to be looking to try and get around the side. Mafu's about to have the Graviton Surge available, so as soon as they do drop down, he can catch them. Now they're just behind the payload. Seda manages to get picked off by Flippy's Deadeye there, though. Doesn't work out too well for him. Manages to get the single kill, but it is the Lucio, and it may be enough to force them back. But now they've lost that high ground position, and they didn't get a great deal for it.
No, they didn't. Well, I mean, they got a Deadeye off there, I guess. Melty trying to do something, but they have to back away completely now. It doesn't really work out for them very well at all. Now Zappis can continually zone there. There is a D.Va above him. Munya is going to use the defensive matrix just to stop any of that damage coming away. But for some reason, Tech gets out of dodge, then gets desuited. Now, you're going to see the Earth Shatter come down now as well. Nico as well going to get on towards Fraggy. Zappa's coming back into the fight. Flippy falls down. The aim from Zappas is always nasty. And now Himsy in the back line as well with Dragon Blade. And Sound Barrier is not going to be enough to keep Melty alive.
This is a fast time coming out from NIP here. You can see how Zappis and Himsy cleaning up the background. They were at the 1:15 with the first marker. To the fact that they've already reached this distance with 6 minutes on the clock.
It's funny, I think Melty's, I guess, saving grace yesterday, if I think back about their matches, was mostly their defense, I think, in general. I'm not even sure, but this time, it doesn't really look to be the case here. Melty are falling apart, and now NIP applying pressure to all the right spots here. They have control of the high ground. This is like the dream. This is the dream as an attacking team on Dorado. If you push the defenders away from this causeway and that little bridge, they're screwed. They have to push out on the last point, and they have to let the payload push up so far in the process. That's kind of what's happening here. Do note that no one's pushing it right now, but you can see where the payload is, right? One more fight will get NIP over the line and lead. Sub 5 minutes, even time, is insanely good on this map.
It's scary. There's a Graviton Surge going down. They're going to push on through. Transcendence comes out from Kinnel. No kills really going because the Transcendence was countered from Deegan there. Manages to get his own down. And Flippy's going off around the back there. He gets himself a double. Nico trying to swing for the fences, but he can't manage to catch anything out there. But Munel will. And finally, 4 minutes into the game, NIP has stopped from pushing that payload by Melty.
I actually like how Melty responded to the fact that they'd lost so much ground there. I did mention that NIP had that high ground up on the right side, and that can be a death knell for a defending team. But Melty were fairly patient as well. They pushed out under the cover of Munel's shield and took a decent fight and had a good Dragon Blade from Nico there as well. So that has given them the get out of jail free card here. We'll have to see though now how NIP want to set up here, because if they make a wrong move, if they push on this top ledge, I mean, they're back to jail, they're not pass and go, they're not collecting $200 either, they get nothing. They really need to finish this one off here with just a solid strike to the heart, and maybe Himsy's Dragon Blade is just what they need.
Trying to get the flank around the side. Here we go, Dragon Blade spots himself. The Flippy is what he was after, the McCree there. Does manage to get around the side. Gets Bo down eventually around the side. Gets Deegan down. That's both supports picked off. The rest of his team have fallen, unfortunately. So while he was
IP was sort of falling apart by that point. Himsy wasn't really with the team. That's kind of what you do as Genji. Really easy to tunnel vision as Genji because you're kind of supposed to. You're supposed to go in the backline and find those squishes to take them out. Problem is you can't really benefit your team a whole lot when you're doing that.
It's the downside if you're not a 6-man bundle. Here comes the Deadeye coming out from Zappies. He might be able to pick one off the side. You can see he's going to get bowled as he dropped down, tried to dodge and hide. Instead, he manages to get a great right-click flashbang onto Munel there. Point blank in the face. The Deadeye from Flippy. Everybody blocking out of the way of it apart from Sader and Himsy. They get taken down. And that was so vital from Flippy. It's going to delay them. The Graviton Surge doesn't net them a great deal there, though. And Transcendence comes out. That's going to help out. Kinnel gets forced away. And Flippy gets another. So so far, both McCrees are doing some serious work for their teams.
Yeah, Flippy gets 2 with the Deadeye. I think Zappa's got 1 and then 1 with the Deadeye. He actually was trying to catch Moon in his field of view. Problem is that he pushed too far past Moon or turned away from him while trying to make sure that he had board lined up, that he could only get 1 of them there. Still, I mean, there was a lot of ultimates used by Melty on the defense there. A lot of ultimates committed to that fight, Lee. You said the Graviton Surge didn't give them much. I mean, it let them sort of clean up that fight nicely, but it didn't give them the wombo potential that they may be looking for here. So maybe mildly frivolous use of those ultimates, but time will tell, I think, now, as this next fight is going to happen as soon as NIP can set up here with Transcendence and Deadeye.
Zap is a little delayed to get there. You can see Transcendence already going. He tries to join his team at last, but there's going to be the Deadeye coming out from Flippy. Gets himself yet another double kill. This is happening time and time again. And you see Nico chime in with a kill, and Tech and Mitch, they've held this point for 3 minutes so far. There's only 2 minutes left on the clock. They were at 2 minutes 50. They were through the second marker. Melty are holding them up. NIP have just fell apart. They were doing so well. They had this little snowball effect going on, rolling on through. Sub 3 minutes into the final section is so impressive. But they just completely hit a dead end.
Under nominal circumstances, you shouldn't lose anyone to a Deadeye whatsoever, right? Ideally, no one should die. You have a shield up, but sometimes stuff just happens, and it was good positioning from Flippy there as well, using that high ground.
Oh,
which is,
nice.
again, what Melty want to do here, but NIP already losing 2, or taking 2, as Zappas gets himself 2. Himsy as well, the Dragon Blade comes out now. Again, Sound Barrier going to make it a little bit harder, but still Board is going to be falling down. Nico in the back lane, though, gets himself 3. He's showing up the Genji show right now. Himsy's still trying to make ends meet in the back line. D-Gun does fall down. We'll see Himsy try and hang around this point. I think they can push through here as well, but Melty spawned so close to this point that you need to beat 2 waves of spawnings to finish from
It was working so well. Zappis got the double, and it was all looking so good. You saw we were following Himsy in the front end there, but the fact that NiKo got around the back, it just bought them all the time they needed. And look at it. It forced them to go. That was so close to being game over. The Graviton Surge is going to come through, though. Is it enough? Zappis is back alive. He's got Flippy down again. The Earth Shatter works out perfectly. It should be going in NIP's favor this time around. There's going to be Fraggy jumping around the backside. Mafu just burning down. 85 charge. That's going to be doing so much damage. They get Graviton Surge up, but they're on the payload, and it will keep them pushing through. NIP finally posts the time of 8:22. It's a long one, Mitch. Certainly could have been a hell of a lot better.
And you can see there as well, NIP knew that they had to fight while trying to move the payload. So at any point where Melty try and sort of back away defensively, they're actually going to allow the payload to push forward. That forces Melty then to be more reckless in their teamfight positioning. They had to stand in the vicinity of the payload to stop the game from ending while they're in the middle of a fight. So you don't have the options of taking up defensive positions or being more evasive if you're Melty in that situation, purely because you have to be standing on that point. So NIP can use that to their advantage, or if Melty move off the point like they did just then, the game ends, or the round at least. So not the best time. Lee, I think we're getting a little bit shady on Melty's defense at the start of this one, but they lived up to what they managed to show us yesterday. Most of their defenses, actually, their strengths came from the first point holds here, but right towards the end, Melty have locked it up nicely. 8 minutes 20
on that final point. It really worked out well for them. The key switch for me was Zappis finally got Flippy down. Flippy was getting himself 2 with the Deadeye almost every time. Finally, he was being taken out as the first man, and he couldn't get through. They couldn't complete the map against Reunited. They couldn't even get past the first section. They couldn't reach the first marker here at the statue you can see on your screens. Let's go through the defensive side. Kinnel going to be out on Zenyatta. Zappis on McCree. Fraggy on the Reinhardt. Himsy pulling out the Hog once again. Mafu is going to be on the Junkrat. And Seda we're also seeing on the on Symmetra. It's something we don't see that often, and suddenly we're seeing it 2 rounds running.
And I find it quite bizarre as well. I mean, you go with that Lucio in this composition, so when you don't actually have the option to run at Melty and start a fight, they actually have to be, well, much more static and allow the fight to come to them and hope to do enough poke damage to Melty in the process to have them weak enough to win the fight outright there and then. But that's not guaranteed at all. That is absolutely not guaranteed. They need to get this early damage across the line and make it stick. So far,
he wasn't even looking.
Yeah, and that's what Himsy wants to do. I mean, he wrecks Winston as well, of course. Roadhog is very dangerous against that. One good hook from Himsy means that Melty pretty much can't continue to attack. They're going to back away if they lose 1 person for free here.
Oh, almost a stagnant tech. It's sometimes hitting the target that's not moving, you're expecting it to duck left and right, and sometimes you miss it. But Himsy, he has to land the hooks. That's the reason he's been picked. But this payload is just keeping on chugging through. Himsy does finally take down tech there, so he did manage to deal with that. Winston jumping on the back line. NiKo gets taken out by Zappis as well, and this will be a solid hold coming out from NIP. But as you mentioned, without the Lucio, they can't push out, be that aggressive and clear them out. So they're not able to pick up multiple targets on the exit frags.
This has kind of been my issue with Melty as well. Their attacks are a little bit toothless. Now, they don't have a Reinhardt here as well. They actually have tech, of course, on the Winston. Vita now puts a teleporter down, so this makes it even harder for Melty. NIP won the fight pretty comfortably, actually only losing maybe 1 person. So having the teleporter there as well is just extra insurance for the next couple minutes.
Yeah, and they can see the time. It's a pretty slow attack coming out from Melty. You were talking about how toothless it is. They were trying to get some picks here. NiKo does manage to find that teleporter, so he's managed to flank around the back somewhere, but you can hear that Junkrat ulti coming in. It will get picked off by Flippy now, so no Riptide to help out. Zappis sitting on the Deadeye along with Flippy, so both McCree's ready to try and do something here, but we'll see whether it works out. Himsy has the whole hog. As soon as they push in, as soon as they try and pull around the side, if they group up, you can expect that whole hog to come out. Here we go. They're going to try and push on around the side there. There's going to be the Deadeye from Flippy, but Zappis has already taken NiKo down around the back. Transcendence comes through. Flippy tries to get himself a couple of left clicks down there on the hog, but you can see the whole hog just working him down. That blasts him backwards. I haven't netted too many kills, but now Mafu chimes in. He gets himself a quick double on both tanks, Tech and Moon, and that will force LT back once again. NIP hold, 2 minutes 30 and counting.
I'm happy we actually, believe it or not, we got to watch Flippy for most of that fight. We could sort of see what was happening via the kill feed, but that was a really good example of what happens when your McCree, who's trying to have passive positioning already, is zoned out by the enemy using his passive positioning and making it even worse. They're just compounding the problem, right? If you see McCree off at the distance, if you can force him further back, he's literally a non-factor. So, Whole Hog worked out really well, but now the fight going to continue again. Himsy misses the hook, and now we can see Flippy get the first kill, though, on Fraggy. Let's see if Moon can push in and help the rest of his team. He's got the Graviton Surge ready to go.
Big important one around the side, but he gets hooked in before he can use it. Will finally get taken down by NiKo, but this Riptide, where's he coming from? Is he going to get caught out? No. He gets dispossessed and taken down by NiKo there, and now Bold pushes in. This looks like they're going to finally reach the marker just before Fraggy gets back in position. Zappies picks up a quick double. Didn't see where that was from, but suddenly this kill is working out well. As you mentioned, the teleporter doing absolute work, and now Melty, they have one attack left with 40 seconds on the clock. They're so close to reaching that payload mark, you can see it on your screen.
As he comes in with the Death Blossom, Tech manages to take down Zappas at least, but kind of responds on towards that Winston. 10 seconds left, it's not going to be enough time anyway. Nip sure as hell took their sweet time finishing this map lead, but Melty, again, can't attack this first checkpoint. This is the second time at least that they've failed this hurdle so far. You're not going to make it to Gamescom if you make mistakes like this.
Yeah, it's just not reaching that first pay. And honestly, you mentioned it yesterday against Reunited when they played them. It is a very hard first payload marker to reach. It is a tough all match. There is a lot of choke points in there, but there's also a lot of flanking positions you can use. Himsy going to play the game around here. Looks like it's when he gets around the back. Tech with the Bunny Blaster, not going to work out too well for him. And you can see slicing and dicing his way through the entire team there. Himsy works out well for him. Himsy and Zappies, a very scary, damaging combo combined.
Yes, and I'd like to pick up the Rogue Hog there as well, because a great example is you saw the Zarya player for Melty going in. I think it was Moon at the time, actually, because they weren't playing Reinhardt. Maybe they should have, but that's another story. Against Junkrat, it's a bit average anyway, Reinhardt. But anyway, you come in with that Zarya. He was about to let that Graviton Surge go. He's instantly hooked in and one-shot. And that's why that Roadhog is so strong. You have the one-shot, you have the burst combo potential. So that's very hard to account for. If you're a team attacking into a lineup with a Roadhog, you can't really calculate for, oh, someone got hooked and killed instantly. You can pretty much kill an attacking push in one go if you hook the right person. If you get that McCree, they're done. If you get that Zarya, probably still done as well. So nice job there. I think obviously that Roadhog has applications, even with Zenyatta in the scary Discord orb.
Not even that. I mean, dealing with the Winston, which is what we saw. The Winston was just having no chance because obviously in left click just wrecks a Winston. It's just so much damage to him.
And it wrecks anyone, but obviously it's easy to hit the most of that spread.
when it's across your screen like that, it's quite easy.
Shotguns kill monkeys, obviously, and the same as well. That's why Riku's so deadly against him. So very, very strong from NIP. I mean, I think Melty's, this is them in a nutshell, right? Good defense, but their attack is just toothless on some of these maps. And it's
they seem very slow as well, very methodical in their approach.
Absolutely. And let's think back to when they finally jumped off the high ground on the streets phase on Dorado. That's way too late. Way too late. We saw teams yesterday, good teams on Dorado or better teams on Dorado, will actually take the fight on that high ground and push over the edge before the payload even gets in front of the church.
Rogue was so fast that get it just instantly. Get up top. I mean, they'd only literally just got back to the top, and then they went straight back down again. They were just like, let's get back down there. Let's get back in the fight straight away. So it worked out well for them.
It's a massive window into the thought process of Melty and how they perceive the game when you see the big difference in when they choose to pull the trigger in those engagements.
And you just got to, I mean, is it shot calling? What is it? I don't know. Well, I guess you never know until we can get to talk to the teams in depth. But the next map coming up is going to be Hollywood. So we're moving on to Hollywood, and I'm a little fearful. I mean, Melty, yes, they have good defense, but the fact they can't even reach the first point on Dorado tells me, can they get the first point on Hollywood? It is their map choice, so they've chose to go to this. Maybe they're feeling a little more confident. I'm going to look back at their map. He obviously played this yesterday.
They still didn't get the first point.
They didn't get the first point against, but it was against Reunited.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. Reunited as well didn't really... There was an interesting strat that Reunited played. It wasn't anything crazy. I think even this Symmetra sort of play as well. Some teams do it, some teams won't. NIP will do it, and they'll make you pay for it as well. But Melty, I just need to see some killer instinct from them here on their attacks. I've been a little bit unimpressed. I want to see Reinhardt purely because it allows them to set up properly. If they want to go to the left side of this point, then they can go to the left side. But if you don't take a Reinhardt in, you're forced to literally get within line of sight and try and fight them immediately because you've got what? A Winston who's going to jump in straight away. He's on a hair trigger and he has to be. So Reinhardt here, happy to see it. Let's see if Melty can make it work. They can get up closer to NIP and have more reliable engagements trying to attack that first point this time around.
Well, let's see how it works out for the Melty on the defense to begin with. NiKo starting out this time on the Reaper. Bard is going to be on Lucio once again. Munel on the Reinhardt, of course. Tech is going to be on his Hog, so we'll see how that works out for them. Obviously, looking at what NIP brought to the table and thinking, yes, I think we can do that. Deegan going to be on the Zenyatta and Flippy once again on the McCree. Worked out very well for Flippy.
Sorry, I hyped so much into the idea of Melty attacking here as well, where they started the defense, so they completely guts my points.
Well, we'll get to it. We'll get back to that point. We can rewind back to it in a moment. But let's look at NIP. We've seen some very aggressive takes, thinking mainly to Anox. Anox, crazy aggression, and take this point. It works out well for them. Wow, that music transition as we move to the front marker there.
Free cam and first person, sometimes you don't get the tinkle gong and stuff like that as well, because obviously you're not technically on a team when you're spectating there. But anyway, let's go. Melty come in. They're going to be using their Roadhog just as NIP did in that last round. We'll see how this plays into it. Fraggy going to try and open with a Fire Strike, and you can see this Reinhardt allows your team to get within striking distance before you actually have to take damage or give damage.
The hook from Tech is going to be so vital. Wants to try and pick out Himsy maybe if he tries dodges around the side there. Zappish trying to keep working with the left click there. Nico has managed to take down Mafu. That's not good. That's going to work in their favor, but Zappish has managed to respond. Gets his opposite number down. Flippy, the McCree on McCree action working in favor for NIP. So 1-for-1. They're not going to give up on this attack just yet because they want to try and get a couple more tags in. Balkan is just caught out. Not a great deal. Wasn't a headshot from Zappish, so didn't do a great deal. Just still trying to work down that shield of Munel.
I'm much happy to see Nico on the Reaper here as well. There are lots of nooks and crannies and corners to hide around, and I think it's better than a symmetric pick here as well for a team who now needs to actually start fighting and doing some damage on these first points to stop them losing it straight away. So this is working out quite well. Zappas gets no value whatsoever there for that Deadeye, and the sound barrier comes in now for Melty, keeping them topped up as much as possible as this fight does continue. Even the Transcendence being used here, so a lot of defensive ultimates now committed to this fight by Melty. Flippy wants to open up with a Deadeye from the back, but he just gets slapped down by Himsy, and now NIP starting to build up ahead of steam. 3 kills for the man. He wants one more, and he'll probably have it eventually, if not straight away. It is taken away from him, but a strong push there from NIP. Through the Transcendence and through the sound barrier, Melty
here because, Melty here, because this is what we were talking about before. Now they're going to go aggressive. Zappish just backs well away from this one. Pops the Deadeye. The shield perfectly placed there from Munel. Is working out well. Will finally go down to Mafu, but not a great deal of damage coming out from that Deadeye.
No, I mean, the problem is that no one was really attacking the shield. I think Mafu was attacking Munel to try and kill him, which is reasonable as well.
Wow.
Works, but as a Death Blossom comes in, beautiful stuff from Nico. 4 kills, sailing on through. Well, it's the Reaper Copter, and it is nasty.
Worked out well. Well, I mean, that's what we were talking about, obviously, previously, where the church, they got to pick the time to drop down perfectly. This time it works out well for them. Nico gets himself that ulti. Now, we're going to have sound barrier next time around, but look at this, the position, and NIP quickly back to pushing that payload. You can see Melty, they've already adjusted, they're back on the left-hand side. Deadeye comes out from Flippy, not able to catch anything as they'll duck and cover. Ooh, Himsy, very risky stuff there.
Let's say we don't have a pause function in Overwatch, but use Deadeye and you pretty much have one there. I think everyone just stays still.
Whoa.
But that was a nice little Dragon Blade coming in through the fight there from Himsy. Gets himself 3 yet again. This guy is always getting value for these Dragon Blades as well. D-Gun falls, that's probably his 4th kill there as well, and a pretty straightforward wipe for NIP. Himsy is a danger player. Once he gets that ultimate ready to go, it seems as if Melty aren't really able to just get him off their team. No one's able to boop him, no one's able to stun him or shut him down. He just seems to have the run of everything.
Well, NIP, just like they did over on Dorado, looks like they're going to hit the second payload marker pretty fast here. One last defensive chance coming out from Melty. Tech making the switch over to D.Va. Working down Fraggy as well. That shield's not going to hold him for too much longer. He's going to get up in his face. Will take him down. The shield, it so nearly went down, but Zappish gets blocked out in the end by the defense matrix. Nico gets himself a quick kill along with Deegan, and they're forced backwards.
Zappa's a little bit low on that Deadeye there as well. I'm pretty sure it was a communicated call for Fraggy to try and get rid of Tech. So the charge goes in, and that means that Tech's probably not there to use defense matrix at all, but Tech managed to win that battle out. We saw the end of it, and then very quickly Rocket boosts back in, throws the defense matrix up, probably saves Melty from getting like 3 people killed, because Moon wasn't in a position to shield that one out at all. So that was quite fortuitous for the defenders, but it's going to take a little bit more than luck now to keep NIP away from this checkpoint. They are quite close, almost in front of the studios.
You know, Mitch, I'm just happy to see a European team using D.Va for once.
Yeah,
we haven't seen it too much so far.
Melty is one of the few that does actually go for that one.
Himsy with the Dragon Blade again. He's got a triple kill the last 2 times he's used this, so they've got to really be cautious of this.
Did he get a quad last time?
Protect him. I think so, yeah. I think that maybe at the end of it, he just caught another one. So he's been doing some serious work. The Reaper, you can't just teleport straight in the face of Himsy there. He's just going to catch you out. Finally, he's going to get booped away there, forced out by the D.Va. will be enough to keep him at bay. But look, this is a good little setup at the moment. They're just waiting to go on those picks. There's going to be the mark putting down. They're trying to catch onto Reaper just around the side there. Nico looking to drop down with the Death Blossom. Now it might be the time. Instead, he doesn't need it. Fraggy's already been picked off. That's the tank down, and they've held him once again.
Yeah, that's going to be nip backing away there as well. And I like Tech in this team. I like the D.Va pick because you deny high ground from Himsy. You can't fight a D.Va as a Genji at all. Maybe if you have Dragon Blade, yeah, you could sort of maybe go in for the damage there as well, but you get shredded up close, and you can't really do damage to the D.Va unless you're kind of close as that Genji. So Himsy can't use buildings. He can't come from behind anymore as well. And this is why NIP are forced to go around this side. They can't go over the top anymore because Melty controlling the high ground.
Deado going to come out, but everybody took behind the shield or in the jail. They're going to keep themselves safe from that one. Cancelled out. No, he actually used it in the end there to try and smash that shield down. They got a grab on the voltage, but they weren't expecting a big damage dealer. Himsy's starting to go off around the side though. There's going to be the ulti coming out from Mafu, but he gets quickly taken down by Deegan, and the defense is coming out on top once again here as Tech goes piling in. Manages to take down. It was not Himsy, I'm thinking him. What is it? Kinnel, that's the word I'm after. Jesus, I can't even get the names right. There we go. Himsy. Still alive, but on the flank.
This perfectly illustrates what happens with D.Va on the building, right? Exactly that. Himsy just has to get out of dodge. Now, luckily, he can go up now for a moment to get some information, but the moment that Tech knows he's there, guess where Tech's going? To deny that ground away. Himsy has to back away, and if you're out in the opening against D.Va, you are going to get shreked here. So he's going to back up.
He's going to launch it.
I love this. I'd love a bit of a Harbley did this last night on Gibraltar. It was sick. Let's see if he gets any kills. He gets at least the one there as well. Final goes down. That's an important piece of the puzzle there for NIP, losing their Zenyatta to such a easy ult to let go. It's low risk, high reward at that stage there. Nicely done for Tech, and that fight again is going to be a lost one for NIP.
Mitch, there's no time left. They have to do this here. NIP are holding off. They can't get in there. Melty just doing another great defensive job, and we are going to be looking at a time marker. Nobody on there. Deegan, you can see, running protective duties, just sitting on top of the roof, and Melty will hold NIP to a distance in the Wild West section. And when you consider they lost that opening marker within 1 minute 30, a very good defensive job once again from Melty. Can they, though, convert that into an attack?
Well, that's it. If Melty get held on the first point here again, I'm going to trek into the French mountains and I'm going to clip D-Gun behind the ears and say, what are you doing? You guys, your defense is so good, but you are so lopsided in where you perform best on some of these payload maps. Your attacks have not been satisfactory. Your defenses have been actually better than some of the best teams in Europe. You just need to get the other piece of the puzzle and put it together, Lee. That's what they're lacking. Now, my little rant at the start talking about Reinhardt and how it is important to sort of close a bit of ground. Hopefully we do see that illustrated here as well. And Moonell sticks with Reinhardt. He's a Reinhardt specialist. His favorite hero is Winston, by the way. He did say he'd married Winston if he could, but that's by the by. Throwing out that hook and trying to get something on the other end
if you get lucky, yeah. So, 4 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, for Melty to see whether I need to start booking a train ticket for Mitch to head to Paris, whether he needs to get down there. You can go direct, 3 hours direct from Cologne to Paris. You can do this.
I'm coming for you, D-Gun. You best be winning this one, mate.
So let's see if it works out. The Roadhog for Himsy once again, as you mentioned. Fraggy on the Reinhardt. It's going to be Mafu on Xayah. So triple tank setup coming out from NIP on the defense. Zappis on the Reaper once again. Kill on the Zenyatta and Seta on Lucio. So, I mean, it's the aggressive damage-dealing tanks, the Himsy and Mafu on the Xayah. I'm not sure about a triple tank defensive setup. I feel like maybe a McCree or something is needed in there, a little bit more punishment, but you have got quite a tanky front line, and it's going to be hard for Melty to deal with it. They're coming in with a triple tank attacking setup of their own. The only difference being Flippy on McCree against Zappis is Reaper.
Reaper's totally acceptable on defense here as well. There's plenty of places he can hide.
I mean, he's
around
perfect for 3 tanks.
Exactly. And that's what he's going to hope to use as well. I mean, Tech's not going to last very long if he gets on the wrong end of that Reaper. So first hook bounces off the shield, but see, Melty can actually get to the point with the Reinhardt there. They can now actually be in a position where they can start the fight. Moonell eventually going to go down there as well. I'm pretty sure he's picked up there by Himsy, who's doing a lot of work. So one piece of the puzzle is Melty getting to the point. The other is not dying. That seems to be the one they're struggling with now. Well, but baby steps, Lee.
Flippy managed to get the headshot on Himsy just at the end there, and Himsy actually breaking the rule of don't hook first because thankfully he had the shield from Mafu on him, so it kind of worked out in his favor. But here we go. Now Himsy is only just going to be coming back to this one because he got took out. The respawn is a long run, so he's going to be coming around the side. They realize they're in a 5v6 situation. They know that he's going to be coming late, but they're going to try and get around the backside, and they do manage to take down Kinnel. This is finally working out for them. Flippy gets himself a triple kill in there. There's the Graviton Surge coming through, and Nico will burn them down. and Melty will cap out the first point in a pretty damn fast time as well. They are chasing the distance, remember, but that's at 120.
So short because they had no high ground control. They were forced into fighting through these choke points that Melty could already see them coming from a mile off. So now NiKo going to press forward as well. I like NiKo on Xayah here. It's not something we always used to see, but this guy is just insanely good at the game as well. It doesn't really matter what you put him on. Very passionate player though as well, which can be his downfall at times. But I like Xayah with him, just as I like Xayah with Linkzr. Now the sound barrier comes down for Melty here as well. We don't sit back. It's Clippy just trying to stay safe here, break down that shield in the background. Zappa's going quite low. He's going to try and use that Deadeye, but look, it's being blocked out. He jumps down and dodges it though as well. Gets on towards NiKo with that one. At least that's a good pickup for him.
But this is working still well in their favor. It's a very even fight at the moment. Himsy around the side, but look at Tech from above, just working them down, gets the boot damage down, and that's going to be Symmetra being forced away. Remember, they only need to reach that bomb marker. There's the self-destruct coming around the side. That's going to force him away. He gets desuited, and well, Melty are going to keep on pushing. They're only chasing a distance, remember. The golden marker is just around the corner there. It's not too far, and NiP, they're not going to have a chance to get the high ground. They're going to have to fight this straight up raw in the flesh on the ground.
I don't think even NiP have time to actually reinforce this point properly. Melty's sitting back, expecting a lot of ultimates to be thrown in their direction now. They've got Flippy, I think, up on the high ground, which is going to be really important. So Melty have control of that right now. Flippy does get the Deadeye there as well, gets Zappas. That's fantastic. 1-for-1 is fine, especially after the Earth Shatter comes in there. NiKo there is going to go in towards Moon as well. And this could be very, very nasty here for NiP. They're going to fall away. Tech can re-soup, but he's just going to use a Bunny Blaster for now, and that's all they need to get it done. This payload is going to get home surely in just a moment here. Sator falls. There's not much he can do to hold on here. And Melty looks like they've got this one in the bag. It's bored. Gets himself 2 kills. The resuit comes out, but Tech doesn't need it. That is going to be the map number 2, and we are 1 apiece.
Well, finally, their defensive prowess pays off, and Melty capping the point in the second attempt. It works out well for them, and as we said, it wasn't that far a distance. NiP, they managed to get their first point in 1:30 as well, but they just couldn't go anywhere in the Wild West section. But 2 quick fights, 1 out for Melty Esports there, worked it well. Himsy gets himself play of the game there, gets himself a quad kill as well, so a nice play of the game for him. But unfortunately, the rest of his team couldn't deliver alongside him when we are all square, Mitch. Are we going to get another best of 5 here between these two? We had it yesterday.
I think we deserve it, to be honest. Yes. I think it'd be really good to see how this one plays out. And Melty, yeah, much better from them, right? I'm not going to harp on, I think, what I was talking about before. I think yesterday there was just a little bit of a trend in the maps that we observed that Melty, yeah, like the killer instinct, I think is the best way to put it on some of these maps. They were too ready to back off and regroup. They were unwilling to keep building momentum and keep fighting and pressuring. I think that's the problem. And when you let a defensive team get comfortable, that just manifests in the form of, I don't know, they have teleporters available. They build up ult advantage. They're feeling confident as well. They can play with a bit more finesse. And these are things that you can't allow a team to do. You give them such a psychological edge by being so ready to back away and wait for reinforcements to come through. So I like this aggression from Melty as well. I'm not saying they heard me, but it almost seems as if they did, because we were hoping for a little bit more just general aggression on those first points of these hybrid maps.
We can see it on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Map 3 will be King's Row, so the final payload map that's available to them, which immediately makes things interesting, because Ilios on the table was not a good match for Melty yesterday, but also SG1 lost to We United on it. So both of them not been performing that highly on Ilios. Of course, that's going to be in the map pool, as well as Hanamura and Temple of Anubis. So we may get one of those, who knows? But ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about King's Row now. We're moving on to King's Row. This was a map, if I recall, thinking back to yesterday, the Melties performed very well against Reunited.
Yeah, it was
5 minutes, 6 seconds.
Yeah, just over 5 minutes as well. And they, again, characteristically held for quite some time against Reunited in that game. So even that triple tank lineup as well, when you throw a Winston in there alongside the D.Va, can be really, really effective. And then you bring in as well the Roadhog. Those 3 tanks. Don't need a Reinhardt this time, but if you get that hook in, you can pretty much dominate the point. Because remember, Lee, 1 pick on the attacking side, it's a long walk back to the point for defenders, and you have a massive advantage in the fight for quite some time. It
is a very long walk. It's a very hard point to hold starting off. But here we go, King's Row. Only built to serve, says the netbots. But yes, indeed. Here we go, King's Row. We talked about this so many times, Mitch. The fact that it's first point, it is a tricky one. It is a long spawn. But the street section is where you can hold up, hinder them. So even if you do lose that payload early on, do lose that market that you can see right in front of your screen that Melty are going to be defending first, it is possible to snarl them, snare them, slow them down as much as you can throughout that street section, throughout those winding streets. Let's talk about the defensive setup here, because we're going to see Lucio coming out. So we've seen some very interesting defensive setups actually today and yesterday throughout different teams. Hell, we even saw a Mei coming out on the attack earlier on as well. Yeah. Seda, Kinnel going to be on the Lucio and Zanyara, the two supports in there. Fragi and Mafu on the tanks of Reinhardt and Xayah. Of course, we're going to see the two attacks once again. It is going to be Zappis doing the damage, along with Himzi on the McCree and the Genji. Ooh, a Hanzo coming out from Flippy.
Yeah, interesting here as well. Tech's going to be playing the Roadhog, so can't sort of play the D.Va. I forgot to mention that. It's sort of only him that flexes between those two. So you can't really have both at the same time, even though D-Gun made me think we'd see a D.Va from him, but of course he needs to play the Zenyatta. So again, that first pick's going to be quite important here in this first attack on towards the point. Tech gets nothing this time, but Zappis falls down there as well. Just the spam. This is perfect stuff here for Melty going through. The names at the top are switched, by the way, guys, as well, so don't be confused.
Yes.
Red is Melty.
So it's not the first time we've seen it, certainly. Obviously, it's been pulled away from a lot. We saw Rogue using it yesterday, actually. A couple of teams actually used it as well. Reunited, I think, tried it out as well. And it seemed to work out very well for them. Just waiting for that shield to go out. It's going to give them the vision, of course, get to pop that vision out there. And Flippy, well, you know, on the tight street circuit, if you can get that Dragon Strike working out well, it can be a big difference.
Also, putting a Sonic Arrow into a Reinhardt shield, that arrow will stay around, and you can get information about whoever's standing around the Reinhardt, by the way. I'm pretty sure that still works in-game. So that's pretty handy for Flippy as well to get some information early on here, but Nico as well getting close to the Graviton Surge. Himzi goes in, though, picks up Flippy. Yes, he's going to be a bit vulnerable to that kind of fighting there as well from those diving assassins, but Zappis picking up Nico as well has to be the trigger for Melty just to back up here. They're losing too many key players.
Yeah, Payload not getting too far, but they're going to have that horrendous combo of Graviton Surge and Dragon Strike available, so got to be careful they don't get caught out for that. It's going to be 6 ultis for Melty on the attack and 6 ultis for NIP on the defense in this next exchange. Incredible.
Yeah, Bikini Beach Boys loved this one back at the takeover as well. Led by Masashi, the captain as well, who I think was on Wii United for a while. But let's see how this one works out. It's going to be coming in now as well. Will there be a Dragon Strike to follow it up here? Flippy actually hasn't used it yet at all. I think seeing as well the Transcendence being popped by NIP probably dissuades him a little bit from using that. It comes out a little bit later, but he only gets Sata for his trouble here. And does Flippy really want to stay with Hanzo at this point, or maybe go back to that McCree and challenge out Zappis here on the streets?
I think he has to. I think surely he has to switch across. No, he's going to go to a Reaper instead. Okay, so he realizes he makes the switch, needs something, because they're just losing out. The fact that they took the payload so fast, but now they've been snarled up. That's two fights already. Sure, it's only 2:27 on the clock, so it's not too bad for Melty. And now you see NIP backing up. They realize they expended 5 ultis in that fight, 4 ultis, sorry, in that fight apiece, both teams. But the payload's going to start getting around the corner, starting to build in towards that close position. Here we go. Sound barrier goes down. Flippy's just going to back away. Dragon Blade around the side there from Himzi. He's been doing so much work for the teams here, and he's going to continue again. Fraggy's swinging for the fences as he gets the Earth Shatter down there. Himzi picks himself up another, and it's a 3rd wipe in a row for Melty. This is a little worrisome. NIP just holding them in the streets so easily.
I actually thought Melty, to fair, responded fairly well to Himzi using Dragon Blade. They all sort of looking towards him, but the problem is when you're looking at a Genji flying over the head of you, Fraggy comes out from the side and gets a massive Earth Shatter as well. He gets 2 kills off the back of that one, and Himzi gets an extra easy Dragon Blade kill there. So Melty probably need to not give too much respect to Himzi, not be so distracted, but now the Earth Shatter comes down from Melty here. Transcendence, of course, comes out from Kynel, and already Melty, they're not super committed to this fight because they know there's no point going in with the Transcendence up. Another Earth Shatter? Are you kidding me? Fraggy gets to get another one down, but unfortunately he's not able to capitalize on it. It's just to keep him alive for now.
With the fact that Mafu went down so early, you're losing that Xayah. He's going to be coming back. You can see he's just coming out of the base now. But that's going to be Zappis trying to get the Deadeye down. Moonell's going to block that out, all the damage. And the payload still continues to not move. Tech's going to get desuited there. Manages to pick off, but he did get Himzi down. That's more importantly, which is going to have to force them to back up. They got to respect the fact they've lost one of the major damage duelists, one of the main disruptors around the back. Also, looking off the side there, that was Fraggy completely off on his own. He's been taken down by Nico, and that's a real problem. Graviton Surge is going to come out, but there's no follow-up from it because they lost so much. Flippy comes in, gets him simple double kill, and thank you very much. Nico doing wonders there with that Graviton Surge. That's going to be the 2nd payload marker reached.
That wasn't the first time that Fraggy was off towards the side, trying to flank or whatever he was trying to do. He got an incredible Earth Shatter from the side earlier on in that fight, but maybe he was trying to set up a charge from an off angle or something like that. Maybe take down Moonell's shield. I'm not really sure, but yeah, dying out on your own as Reinhardt, not defending your team in those close quarters sort of corridors, I guess. They're not great. Now, Flippy going to go in here as well. Finally gets behind the shield of Fraggy there as well, but by the time he gets there, the rest of NIP have backed away. Good speed boost from Sata to allow them to disengage.
Yeah, doesn't get a great deal from it, but he does slow them down. He forced the sound barrier out, so ulti for ulti exchange. Flippy does get Himsy down in the back there, trying to once again go aggressive. Transcendence comes out, tries to force him away. Flippy continues to just batter away at the shield of Moonell, trying to work him down, or Fraggy, sorry, on the opposite number. And Melty continuing to push at the moment. They're continuing to work their way through. This payload is making some good distance now. We're at the 5-minute mark. It's still a pretty respectable time. And Flippy continues. That's Fraggy down. The big tank down now is going to give them an open season when they get around this corner.
Yeah, I like this rig from Flippy. It seems to be favouring him when he's fighting literally on top of the payload. He's just moving back and forth across it now.
Self-destruct.
Will this be enough? Not quite there as well. Tekna's going to have to resuit up. The rest of NIP have already backed up and up, but that's going to give Melty some room to push forward now. You can see just how far back NIP are pushed, and they can't get behind this shield of Reinhardt as well. They're split off from Fraggy. They can't benefit from that defense at all, and they have to hide around the corner and hope that eventually Fraggy will join them. Going to be a Graviton Surge coming out of here as well. Now, Nico able to break free of that one. He has his own ready to go, but he's going to have to use it on the next spawn in because Sata takes him down.
Finally working out in their favour. Flippy gets booped as well by the end there, and Tech is forced to back away. But it's a decent marker already. We're just hitting the 6-minute mark, still plenty of time. 3 minutes on the clock, and you can hear the music start to build in the background. That tells you that the payload is so close. You can see it on your screen there. Almost at its marker. Almost completed the map here, Melty. You've got to feel they've got it in there. They've got a Graviton Surge ready waiting to go. Deegan's going to come in, probably pop that Transcendence on the attack coming in there. Board, of course, used the sound barrier, though. He's already doesn't have that available, but here we go. Nico pops in, Graviton Surge, only catches 2 of them there, and there's no impact. There's no follow-on from it.
Flippy, no. Flippy came down and used his Death Blossom there as well, but the Transcendence was already up. Maybe he should have waited, actually, for the Graviton Surge to be done and the Transcendence also to have finished, then jump in with his ultimate and use it at a time where it couldn't be healed through. Now, I'm pretty sure Flippy probably just jumped off the edge there as well, because they've got to get back into this now. Melty have lost 2 important ults there as well, both counted out by 1 Transcendence. Not ideal.
Not ideal. Nico's made a switch to a Widowmaker. And he switched back to a Genji. He's like, they're like, don't be so stupid. Get back off that Widowmaker. Get back on what you feel. So, just 2 minutes to go. The payload marker in position, ready to be pushed in. But Sata's going to have himself his sound barrier. There's going to be Zappis popping the Deadeye. They're going to push in. Zappis gets himself on. It's Bold that goes down. Didn't get to use the sound barrier in time. Will manage to take him down there. Zappis tries to push around. He gets picked off. And Zappis doing some serious work with Himsy. Mafu gets himself a double. And this is being held once again.
Look at that, simple as you like, just tapping away their Zappers with the Peacemaker, getting the kills from the back there. There was a Graviton Surge and a sound barrier available for NIP, so their stacking of defensive ults really helped them out quite nicely. Now Melty have to come back in with no ults really charged, and the next one's going to be Dragon Blade, which can be dealt with easily by Kynal being so close to another Transcendence. The amount of ults that NIP can cancel out with just Kynal and clever use of that Transcendence is pretty disgusting. And Melty, again, looking like they're going to make the characteristic mistake of falling here at the last hurdle before they can actually post the time.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little worrisome, isn't it? 1 minute on the clock. They're going to get 2 attacks at best. Zappis does manage to get Moonell down. Fraggy comes in with Flippy. Nico responds, gets Fraggy down, but the fact is the damage dealers are doing their work. Zappis is collecting him kill after kill after kill. That's 4 for Zappis there as he pushes him out. Tech, the last man standing on the Xayah. Made the change over from the D.Va, but it's going to take a long time to get that charge ready and waiting to go.
They don't have that much time.
They've got 1 attack. That's it. That's all they got time for now.
Yeah, well, we're going to see Tekna come back in with the rest of Melty. They've got a sound barrier, so that's going to help them at least be a bit more aggressive, at least have the ability to do so. Dragon Blade coming out from Nico as well. This has to stick right now, and even Himsy going to do the same in the backline now. Transcendence being used over that fight. Himsy going to be the first to fall to Moonell, now going down in response. Zappis at least comes back in with a kill, and Flippy has a Deadeye left. The shield is broken. This might be his moment to use it, but he's going to just back around the corner and stay safe here. He may have missed his chance, and the rest of Melty are falling like flies here. Nip are unbreakable right now, and Melty are just breaking on them like water on a cliff.
And look how far that payload's backed up in time. Worked out beautifully. There's going to be the contestation. Zappis manages to get himself yet another deal kill. They do manage to get in. They're sticking around there, but it is all blue on the kill feed. Ninjas in pajamas will hold off Melty. They did so well to hit that marker. 4 minutes 30, they were through into that final section, but they were held off for a full 4.5 minutes in that final section. They got to 4 meters away from the payload marker. That's where it's going to be recorded, of course, 63.94. So NIP, they effectively need to finish the map anyway, so it's close to it, but another great hold this time from NIP.
Oh man, Melty, again, struggled to get it finished. After such a good start, But again, you know, we talked about Melty not being super great on their attacking side sometimes. You still expect them to be able to get that first point on this map. I mean, it is, like it has been said, a point that you should almost always get. If you get held on the first point on Kings Row, you just got wrecked. You just got absolutely wrecked. It shouldn't happen when you're so close to it. We already talked about it, so it's fine. But Melty held towards the end there as well. Now, having ult advantage lead can have the impact of sort of exacerbating itself and create a snowball situation, because obviously you don't get ultimate charge from often the damage you do from your ultimate itself. But still, it's allowing NIP to set up situations where they can do damage, they can win fights, they can have more ultimates, more ultimates, more ultimates. Melty come in, they wasted, I think there was one point where they had a decent bank of ultimates, but having the Death Blossom and the Graviton Surge both cancelled out by the one Transcendence really hurt them, because they're going to have to wait a long time to get them back. And bear in mind that if Flippy wants to do damage as a Reaper and get that ultimate percent up, he has to be in the enemy's face, and he can't risk doing that all the time, especially when he's perched up on that top little ledge jumping down. That's like, once you're in, you're in. And if you die straight away, you just die for nothing.
You've just wiped your team as well, because the main damage dealer's gone. They've got no follow-up going through.
Yeah.
So, Melty, okay. They put up good defensive performances. That's what they've got going for them. They reached a marker that's very much at the end of the map. So, time-wise, yeah, sure, they didn't reach the time, but they very nearly made it. They were within 4 minutes. It's almost there. They've had solid defensive holds. They did manage to hold out on Hollywood, remember. Can they do it here on Kings Row? We're seeing the changes. We're seeing Tech gonna try and land those hooks. If you can pluck someone out at the start, it buys you a full 30 seconds. All he needs to do is land one hook, and it will slow down the attack instantly.
Yeah, a little bit hard to do that sometimes on the defensive side, because sort of defenders' movements are more predictable, I guess, most often than attackers here. But Tech's going to see what he can do. Himsy's already gotten to the back line, essentially undetected, and we've just seen that. I think it's D-Gun dropping off there. He's super low as well. One charge from Himsy. He doesn't realize it, but a dash is going to kill that Zenyatta straight away and give Himsy the dash reset to get out. But Fraggy goes down as well. It's good to bring that Roadhog in that case. He's a great tank killer. And now Himsy wants to charge up his Dragon Blade by getting some free damage. Completely unanswered. No one from Melty can even get up there. They have no jumps.
Well, they have no Xayah shield either, so Munel's just going to have to take it in the back there, literally taking it in the back of the head. He's got himself his Earth Shatter available. Zap is going to come around the side. Flashbang comes down, but instantly countered by a second Flashbang. Miffy and Keenal managed to get himself 2 kills, though. That should be the first point captured out. They can't really contest this. They may come in just to try and slow the timer, but that's about all they can do. I think they've given up already. They're setting up in the streets.
So, you're on this first point, which is surrounded by maybe 90 degrees of ledge, right? And you're Melty Esport, and you sort of give that up quite quickly to Himsy, don't you? Because D-Gun can't contest really a Genji when he's got no health left, and no one else on Melty can actually get up there. Now, Nico could have if he was playing Reaper by teleporting, but it's super annoying to do that. So, strong attack there as well from NIP, but now the Streets phase is probably what I'm most interested in, Lee, because we saw a big brawl, extended fights in this stage on the first half of this map. But NIP want to try and circumvent this completely. They don't want to deal with it.
Well, they're going to try and push on through. There's going to be the Graviton Surge, but oh no, the payload's blocking the whole vision. He's trying desperately to get the Deadeye around the corner. That was tragic to watch, Zappis. Apologies for that, for making fun of you, but that's not what you want to see. Melty are going to hold on.
I think the payload now doesn't block line of sight for the purpose of things like Graviton Surge and Earth Shatters. But yeah, if you're sat behind it trying to use Deadeye, Deadeye implies that you need to be able to see the target, and if you can't, well, you're not going to get much done there as well. So, but sometimes you can use that as well. You can Deadeye from behind a payload that's about to move away from you and sort of
pulls you quickly, like sneaky in there. Yeah. Well, we saw it with I forget who it was on using it underneath the ledge of it on Dorado. I forget who used it, but they managed to come out and get a 4 kill underneath it. It was beautiful yesterday. But Nafu going to push on down. There's the sound barrier. The Shatter comes through as well. This is going to be a straight clean kill here. Zappis cleaning up. Fraggy and Mafu, everybody on the kill feed because it worked out. Perfect Earth Shatter coming out there from Fraggy.
Yeah, and that's all they needed, right? We talked about in the last half the, I guess, over excessive use of ultimates and getting not many results out of it. Well, there, one Earth Shatter. Yeah, there was a little bit to back it up, but really the Earth Shatter was all that NIP really needed in that fight. It's great when you can win a fight off one ult, Lee, and that's kind of the ideal situation when you know that your enemy have some as well. And that Streaks phase, that's gone.
Well, look how quick we're going. This is pretty fast. It's going to give them, what, 7 minutes, I think, if we reach the final marker in just a moment. It's going to be a long time.
2-minute extension, I think, on time?
Yeah, I mean, we were at 4 minutes there, so, but obviously they backed away this time around. Nico is going to be rejoining his team, remember. He got took out a moment ago, so I don't know whether, I think NIP should have fought that. I don't think they realized that they were in a 5v6 situation. They gave up too much ground to Melty there. Melty, now they're going to have NiKo back there. Sure, they're going to come around the side, but Zapis comes out on top against Flippy. Mafu continuing to pick up kill after kill. He's working well on the Xayah right now, and that is going to be the marker hit here. So we're going to have 5.5 minutes to close out to reach that payload marker. It is just around the corner, and they're going to go aggressive. You're going to see the golden marker is just on the slope. Yeah. There you go, just before the payload point.
I mean, that Transcendence wasn't even necessary for Kynal there as well. The Nip had already cleaned Melty out. The way the Zappas jumped through the shield, I think that was being held in front of him by Fraggy to kill Flippy, trying to use a Deadeye. That's pretty good. That's the killer instinct, Lee. That's what I wanted to see from Melty on their attacking sides, but it's just not there. But it looks like the Finns definitely know what it's about now. Graviton Surge coming in. Zappas there free to try and get damage done through that, but it's a Transcendence being used from Melty to try and keep them alive.
Who's going to keep them alive? That's the question. Both Reinhardts going down for both sides, and that remains open season for NiKo as he gets around the side there. That's going to be Zapis throwing himself down. They realize the goose is cooked, and they are going to drop down. Melty, hold on. What are you doing here? They're just going to fight you on the point.
Yeah, I don't know why Fraggy went back in there as well. He should be able to shrug these orbs off and come back into the fight with the rest of his team. But if he got caught there, that's like really wasteful. Yeah. That's like 10 seconds you've just literally thrown in the bin. But it didn't happen, so it's fine. We're chill.
Kindle getting the full charge, trying to see if he can land something good. Making sure there's no flank around. I think it's NiKo that's up there. I just caught a glimpse in the X-ray. It is. NiKo's up there just looking. They weren't sure whether there's going to be a Death Blossom coming his way, and it will be in a moment. Hoping to just buy him some time. That's some great shots landing on Zapis there. Forced to use the sound barrier just to keep him alive. He's going to pop his Death Blossom around the side there. Gets himself the 1 kill on Himsy. That's all he's going to get. Transcendence comes out. The rest of the team do back themselves away, making sure they don't get caught out. But Tech with a little snipe there on the body blaster takes down Mafu. Flippy picks off Zapis, and Net Melty hold once again as Flippy pushes through and gets himself a hat-trick.
That was so aggressive there. I think Fraggy was surrounded by like 3 members of Melty. The thing is though, quite easily NIP can sort of spawn back into this, spawn back in and go for another attack here. They've got plenty of time, of course. Remember, they're not really restricted too much by time in the grand scheme of things. They still have all of these 3 minutes and 30 seconds lead. There's no restriction on that at all. That's a crap ton of time when the payload point is right around the end there as well. Well, Flippy, yeah. Defense Matrix as well going to make it hard for Zaps to connect that shot.
But that was a Deadeye in the open. There was no shields near him. I think he just misread it. You can see, obviously, his tank had completely abandoned him there. So they weren't on the same page at all. Fraggy around the side. Going to keep on trying to push through. Himsy's trying to get himself a better position. You can see Death Blossom available. Wants to hop the other side of that shield, but he needs a distraction first. The shield's being worked down. He's going to try and jump in. There's the shield coming out. Does manage to get himself the Death Blossom. Is completely counteracted by the Transcendence of Deegan. Working well in his favor. Gets around the backside now, but it's Flippy once again coming out on top. That's the man that Himsy's trying to find. But again, they get the kill on him. And now the Deadeye comes out on the opposite side. Flippy doing work, gets Kindle down.
Yeah, that's right. Zappas now as well. He's kind of on the wrong side of this little situation here. And NIP have to fall down as well, but it's going to be a long walk from here for Melty. It is going to be still another 2.5 minutes of them having to hold on this point. And Nip just get to come back in, back in, back in. Maybe, Lee, they go into this fight and they don't expend any ultimates. Maybe they just save up 4 ultimates and go in. This is such a good position to be in if you're the Finnish squad right now. And yeah, they've got a Deadeye from Zappas who's just going to use it now for maybe some zoning potential. Oh, he could have got a bit more damage done with that. NiKo goes in with 3 there on the Death Blossom, and Flippy follows up with 1 of his own, make it 2. And Melty gets a wipe. NIP, still though, got a decent buffer of error.
I don't know, man. Melty's legendary defenses are coming out on top once again. 2 minutes on the clock. NIP have hit a brick wall again. They are starting to struggle, just as they did in Hollywood. You know, that second section marker, they couldn't do anything in the Wild West. This payload hasn't moved from this point for so long. It's just sat here. Sure, they only need to get around the corner and on the slope, but they haven't got close to doing that. Now they're starting to get a little bit of momentum on there. Deegan does finally get picked off by Kindle. This might be it. The self-destruct's coming over the top. It's not going to be quite enough. It actually landed on top. That was a pretty poor one. Self-destruct missed time there. And I've got to wonder, maybe the 3 second instead of the 4 second. Oh no, Moonell. That was a pretty tragic Earth Shatter coming through.
Lost the game.
Now it is going all through. NIP managed to lock on through. And as you said, may well have just lost the game.
Yeah, that Earth Shatter was really, really messy. I don't know why Moon went for that one. It got completely blocked out there as well. Nip just responded and jumped on top of them there. Fraggy had an Earth Shatter of his own to go with. And that is game. So NIP, despite the fact that they sort of were held up for a decent while their lead, they could do that, right? They could keep coming back into that one. And all it took with the payload at that point, and both teams knew this, right, is a one team fight, one team wipe, you win the game. You're going to get to that end anyway with 3 guys on the payload. So nice little Death Blossom there from NiKo towards the end there as well, but oh, that Earth Shatter. That was Moon, right? That was Moon.
Yeah, it was Moon, yeah.
they freaked out. They lost their nerve right towards the end there as well. And if he'd had that, they probably would have won the fight.
They didn't need to either. He didn't need to do it. There was no reason to go for it. I mean, they were trying to get the aggressive push once again, but the self-destruct had already failed.
Yeah.
That had done nothing. It landed actually on the top. It's a little unfortunate. Maybe the 3-second counter catching people off instead of the 4-second. Didn't launch it either way. Landed slap on top. Did naught. And then he went for that Earthshatter, and they just went, oh, he's just screwed his Earthshatter up. Go.
And then Fraggy goes, bam, straight after him. It's like, well, you're done. So, Melty there, and that's pretty tough, though, as well. That's a very mentally draining scenario to be in, to know that you weren't actually able to sort of win the map. You sort of know, you still know the time frame that you have to hold for, but you also know, crap, they get 2-minute extensions on this every time they get a checkpoint, because obviously they're not limited to a stopwatch. They're just going to finish, like, they're just going to match what we have done.
But they got it down to a minute. They only had to hold, I mean,
so it was still good.
It was a panic mode. It was a panic mode, and that is the real pressures of a Reinhardt. It's like, while people look at a Reinhardt and think this is such a simple clash, you just hold the shield up and that's it.
No, it's a game of chess.
If you make one mistake on that Earthshatter, it absolutely can cost you a game, and it did right there. It's horrible to say, but it really did cost them.
You need to ask Reinforce about this as well from time to time, because I always ask him about, because he insists that there's brain power that goes into playing this role, of course. It's like a game of chess. It's like, do I charge him now? If I charge him, will my team be there? Will he charge me where I'm standing? Can I Earthshatter now? Has he put his shield down? And sometimes Reinhardts play mind games as well. They drop their shield and put it back up really quickly. And there's a delay of the animation where Reinhardt's shield is still down, but technically the game thinks it's up. So you can bait Earthshatters out by as well, just like spamming the right-click button as well. So there's literally, you can write a book on the mind games it takes to be a Reinhardt player as well. And unfortunately, Moon mentally just sort of slipped there at the end, and that diff, I really think they gave it over to NIP.
I'm really looking forward to being at Gamescom and getting words from these, getting interviews from these players, and getting into the minds of really how some team fights, you know, that we perceive. Obviously, we have the perception. We can see what's going on from the external view sometimes, and often it's very easy for us to say, oh, they made a mistake, but we don't know the inner workings of what happened in that team fight. There could be something somewhere else that was planned to happen before that Earthshatter came down, that was due to get the shield, to distract them around the side. It just didn't work. There's so many things that could happen. But let's talk about Ilios, because that is the next map. That's where it's going. And this didn't work out either for NIP or Melty. Both of them lost this in the earlier upper bracket matches that they played. Melty just didn't turn up. However, in fairness, you know, they were up against Rogue, who Reunited, who are incredible on the King of the Hill matches.
Yeah, I mean, and Ilios especially for them. This was like they made this their thing. I believe it was like Ghostly Gamers EU Weekly number 12 or something, or back not that long, but everyone was like, all of a sudden in Pro Tour, they're like, oh, Reunited bringing out the King of the Hill maps. They're like, yeah, why not? No one else is doing it. We feel comfortable on this map. We're going to pick it as well. So all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, crap. Okay, pulling up their socks. Creation, a good example of a team who's practiced this map as well.
It's a matter of time before somebody starts doing that on the capture point maps. Someone's just going to say, you know what? Temple of Anubis, that's our thing.
I said to
That's our thing.
I spoke to Numlocked last night. I said, why didn't you pick 2 CP maps? Because I said I was holding out for that. I know you guys like to pick them. He's like, I wanted to do it, but the team sort of chickened out.
Weren't feeling confident. Maybe we'll see it. They're going to be playing Anox. That's going to be coming up next. But before we get there, we have to conclude this series. Who is going to be pushing through to face Rogue in the final game of the night? Will it be Melty? Will it be NIP? NIP 2-1 up so far. Let's drop into Ilios, because we are ready to go. You see them causing mayhem and destruction. It is going to be ruins to begin with, by the looks of it, judging by that little glimpse I get out the window. So I don't know how this is going to go, because obviously we just saw Anox and Luminosity playing it. Luminosity was so good on that. Luminosity formerly playing as Too Strong, if you're wondering. It wasn't the same Luminosity, the North American Luminosity, not Seagull. I think we're going to have to repeat that over and over for a couple of weeks until people finally decide it. But we are seeing Tracers on both sides, Fraggy and Tech9, which is interesting. Tech9, Tech36. Tech9 going back the old days of Call of Duty 4.
CS casters?
Yeah. No, it's Call of Duty. Tech9?
Yeah, the Tech9 Cinema. It's also a weapon in CS, but you know that as well, of course.
The weapon. Yeah, but for me, Call of Duty is Tech9. That's territory there. But anyway, let's get around the side. It is Fraggy actually getting a real good flank on D-Gun there. Getting a couple of damage down, but it doesn't do a great deal in the end. Has to rewind. Mafu's managed to capture it, and they have caught on towards the point. They're going to cap it out. This is going to be NIP to come out on top.
Yeah, Fraggy as well. Look at him. Board can't do anything about it. He can't hit the Tracer. He can't boop her because she's too far away. He can't mellow her because of the aforementioned reason. And now D-Gun falls down as well. This is not good. This is not good, Melty! the King of the Hill maps have been very lackluster from what we saw yesterday. Really, the Ilios just didn't impress me at all. This team, so individually skilled, but something is lacking, whether it's cooling or team play or direction. It's not.
It might be that, you know, because you think back to the beta, I remember you guys talking about this. It was Melty. They were the predominant driving force between Payload. Payload being esports. Esports is Payload. But instead, obviously, it wasn't that way. You got to use everything. Got to get all 3 map sides. And well, this is all easy, isn't it, so far? NIP coming out very easily on top in that fight. Zappis and Himsy having their wicked way with Melty.
Sometimes wonder if this game is Peggy 18 with how graphic that was. That was really nasty. Maybe you're going to have like age verification to get into Gamescom at this rate. But I mean, Melty won't be there if they don't win this game at this rate. So we'll see.
I'm pretty sure you need that for Gamescom anyway.
Yeah, well, it's probably it is Germany, right? Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Good luck with that. Anyway, so Fraggy as well is still alive, causing so many problems in the backline here. Himsy falls down at least to Flip, who gets him with a Deadeye, but he had to use that just to get the 1 kill. Now they get sucked in with a Graviton Surge as well.
No
Minimal follow-up because of the Transcendence for Melty here, but they had to use it inside their own base. Oh my lord, the Pulse Bomb comes out as well. We see Flippy fall down. Zappa's got the extra damage across the line, and this is just not good for NIP whatsoever. Tech has a lot on his plate.
He's finally got a kill, though, around the side there. Does manage to get Discord already up, so he manages to back away, but finally decides to get some kills. And just as they thought he was going out, Kindle manages to smash him down with a headshot.
You are really susceptible to headshots in general, as Tracer, McCree, and Zenyatta will give you a lot of problems in that regard. So now Deegan at least able to get back on towards the point there as well. He's trying to burst down Himsy, but he's going to be forced back. If he's smart, he knows he needs to give some ground and allow that shield to regenerate, as he does quite quickly. But now Fraggy, guess who's back? It is the Tracer now. Melty forced to use a sound barrier to hang on towards this point. They need to retake here or this round is over.
Yeah, Deegan trying to do some work here. They have managed to flip it. Yes, it's finally in their control. 94% for NIP, but they realized they backed up. They didn't so much give it up, they just backed up a little bit. Mafui does manage to get taken down, so no Xayah for NIP, but Fraggy and Himsy both sitting on their ultis, and that's the key prospect, because if Melty lose this point and lose the fight badly, they've lost the round.
What's sick about this as well is not only did NIP get the Graviton Surge combo with the Pulse Bomb, but they're also going to have a sound barrier towards the end of the fight.
Well, so will Melty, though. I mean, it could be counted back. You never know.
Well, Deegan's going to have to use that Transcendence. There's just no choice. So now, already, Pulse Bomb going to come down. Transcendence does nothing against this. And there it is, 2 kills for Fraggy. Himsy goes in and gets 1 as well. Doesn't matter if you're healing your team for 300 HP a second when they get bursted down like that.
Fraggy hit the rewind and put himself right on top of the Pulse Bomb. And then Quick's like, oh crap, rewind, back up, back up, back up. So put himself in a dangerous position. NIP come out on top 1-0 in the first round. Looked straightforward standard stuff there, of course. We do have 5 rounds. First to hit 3. 2-1 the current score overall, of course, for NIP. Dorado going their way. Hollywood going the way of Melty. But Kings Row switch back to NIP. Will we see any adjustments this time around? We've seen a lot of Tracer action. Fairly successful. It's really interesting to me, obviously, whether you go with the McCree and the Reaper, whether you go with the Tracer in there, with the Genji. Very different setups from these teams. Is Flippy going to stick with that? May? It might work. I mean, it can work against a Genji, but not the greatest. He's sticking with it.
So Tech's not happy with his first game.
Okay,
so the fact that we've got Flippy playing the Tracer instead of Tech, this is the first time it's happened for this whole qualifier. So last time we saw Ilios, it was Tech playing the Tracer, but he got shut down real hard by Fraggy. Fraggy was all over him like moss on a rock. So now they've switched across. We'll see how it works. Is Melty going to go and take the fight here on the right side to begin?
Absolutely. This is not going their way again, though, is it? Look at this. The kill feed's just blue. It's all blue. Dabba-dee, dabba-doo. Melty getting taken down. Fraggy doing some work alongside Zappis, and they will be capping the point. 1 single kill, Flippy. I mean, that is the chance, right? They did make this change for that reason, and Flippy gets taken down by Fraggy as well. Fraggy seems to have this one in the bag with the Tracer.
I think now, in this day and age, or playing at the moment anyway, on Ilios or King of the Hill maps, you need a competent Tracer player. Because so many teams are still stuck in this whole Genji, McCree, Reaper phase, when Tracer, everyone stopped touching her after 1 hero element was brought in, right? Yeah. She's great on these maps. If you have a good Tracer player, if you have the better Tracer player, actually, you have a massive advantage. So far, that's NIP.
Well, they've contested the point a fair amount. Cedar finally manages to get in and contest it, but there's going to be Flippy. He gets some damage down. Finally, they're going to get some work done. Himsy still just around the side, but they've got themselves a triple already. That's going to force them away. Himsy gets taken down. The point will be flipped in Melty's favor. Fraggy taken down on point.
Yeah, Melty going to get this one back now as well. Fraggy, the last to die, as is often the case for those Tracer players. And now Melty wants to build up a little bit of a buffing here as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see plenty of spam down the choke points and plenty of aggression now up on towards that side room or on the platform here in the middle of the map. So you can see the NIP now have to go together. They can't just sort of filter in one by one. They could probably send Himsy off to try and do some damage, but that's sort of it. All together now in towards the middle of the map. Sound barrier comes down on Himsy, looking for D-Gun.
Right, he's going to try and get around, and he will slice and dice. Gets himself one. Can he get the second there? Yes, he will. That's both supports down. Thank you very much. Himsy coming in. You're going to get a Primal Rage Winston in his face. Munel will manage to bat him down. Fraggy around the side. He's actually losing out on the fight. Will just about avoid Flippy, though, and now he gets in the backside of Nico. He's going to come around the side, and they should cap out the point as Zappis takes down Tech.
Okay, so they allow Melty to at least get a 40-odd% on this point now. It's going to be flipped back for NIP. This has actually been a much better round for Melty. I like Flippy going towards his trace here as well. Fraggy going to hold on here as well. Board has got that Discord orb on him. He's being healed up at the same time. But he's going to take a little bit more of that burst damage. So if we need to see the Pulse Bomb here from Fraggy, he's got it ready.
He got the double boop. It worked out for him. He's held it. He's still contesting it. And the rest of the time, he bought so much time for the rest of his team to get him in. Nico is back, but Fraggy's continuing to be a thorn in their side. Transcendence is going to come out. They've still not contested it. It's still ticking in favor of Melty. They're up to 68% and counting here as they can't cap it out. Surely it's got to go their way eventually. They keep getting kill after kill, and eventually they get it. But 72%, really good work from Bold there. Managed to get the double boop off the edge and managed to keep hold of that point for such a long time.
And it feels like Melty might have found a formula here that is working for them a little bit more. Yeah, they've got to go back and flip this point in their favor, but one decent fight with the ultimates they've got ready to go now is entirely conceivable, especially how Deadly Reaper is on this point more than any other map of Ilios. Here comes a Graviton Surge in. Tech gets himself up towards the side here. He had to find out which one was his team's Graviton Surge first. They were both used. He eventually finds it now, and we do see the Transcendence being used for at least a moment there. Mapu, Sata, Fraggy all going down. Tech now in a position again, holding onto his ult. He doesn't need to use it, which is great for Melty. If they flip this point back in their favor, he's going to have that for the next fight. This should set Melty Esport up here for a photo finish at the very least.
Well, Fraggy's going to have to do some serious work with Himsy. They're going to have to pull their ultis perfectly timed. Now, Sata's going to have himself the sound barrier on the attack, but so will Board. So it's going to be a counter back and forward. Now they're going in. Fraggy's going to just contest it just to keep it ticking in a little bit. Of course, it's still ticking in the favor of Melty, so they're going to have to fight on the ledge here. Deegan's going to try and push around, but he's been picked off by Fraggy. That's not good. Transcendence was not available for him anyway, but Board with the sound barrier down. There comes Flippy. That's the change they needed. Nico picks himself up the double. The sound barrier working out well, and Zappis, he's got enough in the ledge to take it down, and that will be the round going to Melty.
Yep, they get that one apiece now as well, and we thought they'd be struggling a little bit more than this on King of the Hill after previous experiences, but this is NIP. It's not reunited, and Melty found a bit of a better formula here as well. I said earlier on, we didn't actually see Flippy play Tracer at all last time these guys played Ilios. That was yesterday. Now it's working much better. But more than that as well, it's so crazy to see a player like Nico playing this Zarya, and that's why I liken him in a lot of ways to Lynx. Because he's also a star player in terms of the damage dealer role, also now playing that Zarya for his team because she's so damn important. Not only setting up decent Graviton Surges, but also having the presence of mind to shield your teammates up well. And that's an impressive quality for maybe like the aim star, the superstar of the team to have, who quite often are very self-centered and are focused on getting the kills. This is a really impressive evolution, I think, from Nico, not only in mindset, but also in hero pool.
Shows you how versatile the players have to be. Here we go. It's going to be on the well. Let's see who comes out on top. We've seen a bunch of speed boosting changes here. People trying to charge themselves in. None of that nonsense this time around. Zappis gets in their faces, so a great deal of damage coming out from that Tesla. Finally, Munel's going to do the same, but he gets picked off so quickly by Kindle there, and that's a problem now because Melty have lost their main tank. They're still trying to build up the shield around the side. There's going to be a kill back and forth. Kindle gets Nico down. That's both tanks taken out by Kindle there on the Zenyatta. And Flippy, though, he's still being a pain in the side around the back there, and Bolt yet to be touched.
Yeah, we used the Pulse Bomb as well. Gotten towards Fraggy. I don't even know if he's stuck his opposite number, but that's the third kill now for Flippy going on. And purely his presence alone has pretty much given Melty this point. They were bundled out the back door pretty quickly by NIP in that first fight. But Flippy stayed around, worked around the fringes of that little well area, got 3 or 4 kills, if I'm not mistaken, sets it up for Melty to hold.
They lost both tanks at the start of it. They had no right to win that fight, but it came out on top regardless. And as you mentioned, that Pulse Bomb doing work for them. Here we go, NIP on the counter-attack here as the point starts ticking in Melty's favor. Have they managed to finally find their formula here? Who knows? Maofu trying to charge in, trying to find himself what he can. Tech's going to be able to get away there. Has to use the Wraith form. Nico pushes around the side there. Big hit comes in. Fraggy manages to get himself the double on Deegan, and both supports getting picked off, but it's not done yet. Fraggy, Tech's come back, and holy cow, we've got a freeze. Hopefully, that's going to get resolved. Oh no.
That would be nice. Just as the fight goes on as well. It's a little unfortunate.
It's a little unfortunate.
I'll see if my feed's working. We can switch over to that one.
Well, Maybe we've just lost everything. You should be in game. Drop in game.
Oh, I can. I don't know if my sound is working in game, but I guess I can spec it normally. We don't have an overlay set up for that.
No.
That's pretty annoying.
Yes, that's quite annoying.
Well, I am in game.
They're all dead, Dave. Oh,
the problem is if we go to me in game,
we're in a different map as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because there was delay on the clean feed. And
yes, of course, but we might as well drop in now. Let's get the game going on. So it's going to switch across. We get back into Ruins. We might as well get going because they've just started to contest for the second point. Whoa, that's loud. Holy cow. Okay, going to sort it out. So we can see on the score, it was sticking the way of Melty, and it went the way of Melty. Melty on top here. They've got themselves the 2-1 lead, and they are in charge of the points at the moment. You can see it's being contested, though. Let's get straight across there. It is the Ruins now, so we're into round 4. So not too sure what happened over there, but either way, we can keep on going. Luckily, we've got ourselves a backup to jump across to. Deegan to get a focus there by Zappis. Doesn't manage to get caught out, and now Mitch's turn to try and be observer.
I don't know how this even works, to be honest, but Fraggy now as well going to try and work around. We do see the Transcendence is going to get rid of most of the damage coming in, and Fraggy didn't actually have a Pulse Bomb to try and overcome or burst through that Transcendence. Now he's going to be able to duck around the side. I think a Pulse Bomb dropped towards his feet there as well, when Fraggy's able to get around the side of it, and now we do see NIP with control of this point. Fraggy's just on cleanup crew right now. That's pretty much all it is. Nico, or Moon, should I say, going to come in and get aggressive, and he's eventually going to get on towards Fraggy. Zappa's actually playing the Winston here, interestingly enough, and only just NIP managed to force Melty back, and that was purely just by killing 4 of them at this stage.
Working out well in their favor so far. 39% and counting for Melty. For NIP, sorry. Of course, they have to pick up this round. Yeah, totally losing my marbles right now, so I'll make some adjustments on my own. But you can see Himsy just off the side there. Himsy's been doing some serious work here. Doesn't have his ulti available, though, and more importantly, there's quite a few ultis around the side. He's going to get back on the Deegan, though, trying to get around the side. Will manage to cut him down. Deegan takes down. You can see the battle between Fraggy and Flippy. That's the key one. That's what's been working out so well. Flippy's been picking up kill after kill. Does manage to get the rewind and get his health back, but he's still not being able to deal with Fraggy. Fraggy, in the meanwhile, being a real pain in the backside. Bold goes off the side, and this fight will continue in favor of Ninjas in Pajamas. 73%. By the time they come back, they're going to be fighting close to overtime.
And you can see the grim resolve now for NIP as well. They know that they're close to actually forcing this now to go to yet another map. That's not something that they want to even allow to happen. So now Himsy goes for the Dragon Blade, but he's constantly taking damage there from Moon the whole time. The Tesla Cannon causing him problems. He's just going to go down, but it has bought some valuable time here for SG1 to set up at least to get some more percent on the point. And Zappas now as well, dodging away from that Pulse Bomb that's dropped down as well. Flippy's bomb does not find its target, and now Zappas comes back in. The rest of his team surely will follow as Fraggy, wasting no time and getting to the point.
He's got himself his Pulse Bomb available. Is he going to pop it down? He doesn't want to waste it just on the one target. He waited for the shield to work out, but doesn't get a great deal from it, though. Instead, Zappis will get taken down. Finally drops that big 8. Munel goes down, turns around, gets himself taken down as well, and this is still working in their favor.
NIP have the depth here as well to allow maybe Zappas to go towards the Winston, who's not only their main McCree player or damage dealer, to open up Fraggy to actually play this Tracer in general. Now, this has been happening the whole game. I just thought it'd be nice to sort of highlight that now. You can see the board. Boop, Zappa's back, but now he wants to get in towards the back line. It's going to be a Death Blossom used, but the shield comes down. That cancels out a lot of that damage going on. Transcendence is being used now as well. Let's go over towards Fraggy and see what he's doing, because he's got a Pulse Bomb ready to go, and he gets D-Gun.
Both Flippy and Tech use their ultis there. Tech does finally manage to get himself a double kill. That's not with the Death Blossom. That's straight up shotguns to the face. But you can see the point. It was trying to pull in their favor, but a triple kill from Tech does the damage, and they hold on for now. 93% was all that NIP managed to get, but 71% and counting for Melty on your screens.
It's going to go pretty closely, I think, by the end of this one as well. You can see that SG1 still need to set up and get over towards this point. I'm even going cinematic as well. I'll do some observing of my own here, Lee, but this is important now as well. NIP are running out of time to get the retake. One more fight win, and they will have this round, but they still need to get this done now.
Fraggy go for Deegan. Quick shielding coming out there from Nico, managing to keep him alive. He's got his Pulse Bomb available. Got to look around the side, but he's got a Primal Rage Monkey in his face. Himsy gets himself a quick double. There's going to be Zappis taking one down, and they will cap the point back. This is going to go NIP's way. I think we're going to be seeing a 2-2 in rounds here. Is it going to be enough? It's going to get contested. Overtime's going to be kicking in. They are just about reaching point. I think Moon is going to try and jump in. He gets there. Graviton Surge comes out. Can't get it in time. It's 2-2 NIP. With it back on Ruins, we're going the distance on Ilios.
Yeah, here we go. Going all 5 rounds in. And NIP, we thought they'd come out a bit more stronger in those middle 2 rounds, I guess. But now we're going to be going back to well here. And winner, well, if Melty win this one, they're going to take it to 2-2. We're going to go to a map 5. If NIP win this round, not just this map, this round, they will be going to the decider game for their spot at Gamescom, and they will be knocking Melty out of contention. There's a lot on the line here as well, and with Ninjas in Pajamas just starting to maybe find their second wind, Melty need to reciprocate.
But this is the one that Melty 100-0. This is the real issue for NIP, and obviously Melty looking to try and pull this one back. 2-1 in the favor of NIP so far. Here we go. In goes a flying Winston as we pounce our way into well territory. You can see it's Fraggy there, way ahead of the rest of his team. Now he's going to get around the side there, trying to contest them around the point. Can they get the damage down? Yes, they can. Flippy picked off. That's a massive kill. The Tracer going down so early. Himsy comes around the side, gets himself a triple kill. And Melty are destroyed on the corner.
And Himsy didn't even need to use Death Blossom there as well, but you better believe he's well on the way to his first of this round. 45% of his ultimate already charged up. And that is going to be absolutely devastating if Melty want to try and gain access to this point yet again. Tech, now again, the challenge has been set. The gauntlet laid down, slapped across his face. We have had, of course, Himsy say, come at me, bro, and Tech has a lot of work to do now as well. Back onto the point now for Melty. They need to get a retake here and stop the rod as soon as possible.
They've got to do what they can, but Fraggy and Himsy are still going off at the moment. They keep kicking kill after kill after kill. Fraggy just pursuing them around the corner. He's got Pulse Bomb available, doesn't even need to use it. He's picked off the double on Deegan and Bard. Both supports going down, and they hold strong. This is going to give them a count of around about 30-40% before he gets contested.
And there's Fraggy as well there as well. He could have rewound if he wanted to, but he was secure in the fact that he'd be able to get himself a health pack and maybe save the cooldown in case he needed it. Himsy as well, close to that Death Blossom as well. He might get a chance to use it in just a second here as well. Oh. Tech falls down. That's the opposition Reaper going. Moon now having to back away, and that is Death Blossom time as well. Himsy ready to use that at a whim. Flippy does get on towards Kynal here as well, and his whole team relying on him as well. Pulse Bomb goes into the mix. He gets himself more. Huge stuff here from Flippy now. He's managing to cut down the entirety of NIP, and just off the back of this one man, Melty may have the point for themselves.
Boy, did they need that. That has worked so well in their favor. They're going to cap it back. 58% was the marker that NIP managed to reach, but now they have to hold the point. Flippy's been taken down already. That's a tragedy for Melty as they push in. There's going to be the Graviton Surge, and you can see the kill feed. It is all blue. NIP are going to force them off the point, and they're going to flip it right back in their favor. 30% was all Melty got.
Yeah, Tech able to stay alive there as well, and at least be able to get some health back and regroup with the rest of his team here. But Fraggy has a Pulse Bomb. We saw what Flippy was able to do with his own one earlier on. So be afraid if you are fans of Melty. Fraggy in a position to do some serious damage. Now just trying to keep away from Tech for the moment. He's going for the backline as well. Looking for Deegan. Getting rid of that Zenyatta at this point would be excellent for him. Sound Barrier comes down, but not before Zenyatta falls. Moon as well, going quite low. He's in a bit of trouble as Fraggy just keeps himself around the sides of the fight, and Himsy forced to go Wraith Walk. Get some health there as well. There's the Pulse Bomb from Flippy. Gets it done, but of course the Death Blossom comes through the fight as well. We see Himsy trying to rile up the natives, but doesn't get much value for that ultimate.
They're going to flip the point. Fraggy's still alive though. They've got to deal with him. Flippy and Fraggy are just doing fight after fight. They're coming around on top. Pulse Bomb available for Fraggy at the moment, but he's going to get taken down. Flippy gets him. That's the point going in their favor. 99% and overtime. Oh, they're going to contest it. It's not going to go their way just yet. They've got to force the Zarya away, and there it is. They get the point back. Pulse Bomb thrown out for naught from Flippy. That's dangerous. They're going to have Fraggy coming back with a Pulse Bomb of his own, and now they have to hold for about 2 or 3 fights combined. This is a real test for Melty.
That's right. Again, they have to weather the storm, and they weren't able to do it on King's Road Lee. Let's see if they can handle it here. They've got some time as well, but now the jump comes in. Zappas already went straight for the backlines, and Moon is trying to get on towards Kynal. Flippy, though, helps him out. He gets that kill, and look at them pressuring. It's the combo of the Winston and the Tracer. They're going towards those tanks, and they're picking them off one by one. Very clean fight there from Melty, and they will hold here with Kynal. The only one alive, and he died at the start of that fight.
Shielding, charge up, Flippy around the side there. You can see they're trying to get the lockdown. The Pulse Bomb gets tossed out very early. Didn't catch anything with it. That might be a costly. He's going to try and back around the side. You can see he's going to get some work. Himsy needs to push it. The Himsy-Fraggy combo has been working so well so far. Mafu gets a big important double kill down. Kiddo comes in. They're at 99%, and that's a real problem because if they lose this, Melty are going to go out. Zappis gets in there. Fraggy gets the kill. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. Ninjas in Pajamas will be taking it 3-1. They're going to knock out Melty. They will move on to play Rogue in the finals.
That was hype as heck. Melty, again, the problem is they get themselves so far behind the 8 ball so early on that when they actually get themselves in a commanding position, Lee, they have to hold on for so long. It's always unrealistic to expect that of them. Here was Fraggy, of course, going with a Pulse Bomb. Gets himself 2. Himsy helped out with Moonell. Very competitive series here on Ilios. Unfortunately for Melty, they are out. They will not be at Gamescom. But NIP, newly crowned NIP, have a chance to play for their spot at Gamescom.
But there's certainly cracks. Both of those teams showed they have some problems to work on.
Sure.
And NIP, they've got themselves a best of 5 to sit down, calm down, figure things out. Because coming up next is going to be Creation versus Anox. But if you look back, you look across, Hollywood, they couldn't even reach the second marker. They lost out to Melty. Melty's defenses caused them a lot of problems.
Yes.
They're coming up against Rogue, which is a much better team, in my opinion. Much higher seeding. So NIP got a lot of problems coming up against them. Ilios just showed there, well, you did manage to scrape a 3-2 against Rogue, but Reunited destroyed them. Rogue are on par. Rogue like to think of themselves as one of the best King of the Hill teams out there. So we'll see how that's going to work out, because we may even see Ilios once a game played. So lots of problems. Kings Row will be the first map for both of these games. But overall, where do we stand with NIP? Because it was a good performance. They did do really well on Dorado. They held off the first point on Melty, so they're going to be thinking, okay, we're going to use this as maybe one of our maps. You got to think in the bank. Obviously, best of 5 territory. Based on performance of what they just did, they might want to avoid Hollywood, that's for damn sure.
Quite simply, from what history's told us and also what that series has told us, I put them outside of top 4.
Yeah.
And that's a problem when only 4 teams qualify from this tournament, Lee. I don't think NIP have a chance really in that game. And we're going to see it one way or another. I think they managed to deal with Melty, and that's all well and good. But Melty are definitely not of the caliber of the next opposition, and I think we're going to see a lot more challenges going the way of the finish.
Yes. So, fantastic stuff. What a game. 2 games gone, 2 games to go. Of course, the next ones are for all of the marbles. It is going to be for a place at the Gamescom final. 4 European teams will go through, along with 4 North American teams. North America, or Americas, I should say. Not just North America, it's not singled out. There is Canada in there as well. I'm not forgot you guys. Sadly, none of the South American teams managed to make it through. But that's going to be coming up tomorrow and Thursday. Today, though, coming up next, Creation versus Anox, followed by Rogue versus Ninjas in Pajamas. 2 fantastic games. You're not going to want to miss them. Join us after the break.